Hi everyone, as you've probably guessed, all of these clips that we're seeing today are all from one viewer. Is it going to be a nice driving episode, or is it going to be a drive and fail? Let's find out. My viewer's already slowing down. They've spotted the bin wagon and the people working around, and because the bin wagon's on the opposite side of the road facing my viewer, they take that little bit of extra thought and leave a little bit of extra space. This change of mind was also a good idea. My viewer had spotted the oncoming vehicles. If my viewer had gone all the way forward where the other vehicles in front were, it would have delayed this bin wagon moving up, and it also would have lessened the view. The overtake is then completed safely and briskly. And all this good work is topped off by an excellent use of the horn. I've recently done a fair bit of work on my channel about not arriving at the same point at the same time. I didn't need to show my viewer this. They already do it. This is a great piece of driving. How many people would have been getting impatient though, and encouraging my viewer to put his foot down? If my viewer had have gone any faster, they would have been directly in the blind spot or next to this big lorry to the left hand side. But instead, they've held back. They've given themselves plenty of acceleration sense, and from here, this is perfectly safe. Everything's managed. The merge onto the main carriageway goes without a problem, but I did think at this point, maybe my viewer could have put the foot down a little bit. Then this truck appeared. Now it makes perfect sense. There's no way in the world you want to be the meat in a lorry sandwich. My viewer does the perfect thing, holds back, creates space again, and then they can get on with their journey and get up to speed when it's safe. This was a great spot, especially in these weather conditions. Shame the BMW driver didn't spot it also. Notice how my viewer holds back and also takes up a commanding position in the middle of the lane. That can be a lovely message to people following. Hitting water like this at speed can be really dangerous. This was good work. I think this was a particularly good let across the road. We're watching the pedestrian across the other side. This is not an official crossing, but this is a busy junction. And when my viewer starts to go, the lights change. And because there's going to be no one coming behind, my viewer takes the opportunity to let this guy cross. This quick assessment took a really good understanding of best traffic flow and an understanding of when was least risk for the pedestrian. Good job. This is such a simple and basic skill, but not many people do it. Don't go through on green unless you can clear. My viewer spots the funeral car or limousine that's reversing a little touch further up. And this also helps them judge when it's going to be clear to start to move. A bit of a drive and fail in this clip, but not from my viewer. They suss out quickly that this driver didn't even look. They turned it easily into a non-event, but something else goes on up ahead that relies on again someone else sorting this driver's problems out. When you spot drivers or riders like this, give them more space, because they need it. They've got way too close to the parked vehicles and they can't see, but they still just go. Nice job also by the blue BMW driver. Queue in traffic blocks views and increases risk, and especially when vehicles try to emerge from side streets. Do you think this lorry driver could see my viewer from where they were sat in the cab? Would you have got onto this? My viewer thought they should have assessed the risk better in this clip. Let's have a look at it. They're heading left off this slip road also, and I think they must have a fair bit of local knowledge, because they get set up quite early to use lane 2. There's one tricky moment here with the lorry. They go slow enough, use all the road space, job's a good 'un. But it's how they deal with the next lorry that they weren't happy with, and I agree, risk did increase. I've seen no signs and nothing to tell me that this right lane is allowed to turn left, so I think the lorry driver might have been surprised. Was that bigger queue because that was the only lane turning? My viewer does keep back so they can see the driver in the mirror, but it's this next part where I think my viewer keeps going into risk. At this point, you're not going quickly, just slow down and let it happen. I must admit, the driving in this clip does seem a little different from the others. This is more like it. My viewer has no rush to get past the cyclist. Some people would be really impatient in this situation, but my viewer spotted the junction up ahead and the lights are on red. There's really no point. I also liked this care at the end, to hold back until the cyclist was stopped and wasn't going to move round. Drive to what you see, and don't get carried away with the fun of driving on faster roads. Remember, always be able to stop. This is a nice piece of awareness, realising it's the hidden vehicle that's always the potential danger. Not a perfect zip merge by everyone, but it was a pretty good effort. It definitely aided with traffic flow. My viewer tries to be nice here, holds back and lets the car start to emerge from the junction on the right, but the driver makes a little bit of a mess of it. They read the script well enough, but then rush and stall. I've seen this so many times in my career as a driving instructor. People try and help you out, and then the pupil makes an absolute hash of it. This is exactly the same situation and junction as earlier, but there's a different reason for letting these two people cross. They're obviously more vulnerable and considerably less mobile. I thought this was a nice touch. For me, this junction needs a little bit of a redesign. This is the only arm of this junction without a designated pedestrian crossing area, but my viewer obviously understands this and looks after these more vulnerable pedestrians, and it is much appreciated.
Not a problem at all. Take it easy out there.
I love clips like this. Holding back just a little bit sometimes maximises flow for everyone, and this is a perfect example. I don't think going any faster would have got my viewer much further up the road any sooner. Do be mindful of when you do this though, because sometimes slowing down and holding up 20 people behind to let one person out isn't the best for flow. This situation, however, worked out really nicely. Nice job. When's the next time my viewer who's turning left is going to arrive at the same point at the same time as anyone? It's really not that complicated. But unfortunately, my viewer's good example isn't copied enough. The driver of this DPD van was a fair bit impatient in these terrible wet conditions. Did they even see that pedestrian? My viewer did not do a bad job here, they actually did a good job, but I'd do something a little different. If I spotted this pedestrian was potentially going to walk out from the right side, I would have had a little move now. And I think maybe that would have deterred the pedestrian from stepping out or thinking about stepping out altogether. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. My viewer dealt nicely with this impatient driver on the left. My viewer gets beeped in this clip by the lorry driver, but I don't think anyone did anything wrong, and this is exactly how it should be. For me, all the lorry driver was saying was, "I'm here." Perfect. Would you have done the same in this same situation? I'm not sure about this clip. I definitely would have been on the horn with this one. The learner in front has a couple of successful attempts at stalling before they finally get the car underway. My viewer does a brilliant job. They just hold back and give the learner time. What I would like to say, all of these clips that are sent in aren't sent in with this series in mind. This is my choice to put all these clips together. A lovely example of the pedestrian priority rules being followed. My viewers sussed it out that early, they didn't even have to stop. I'd like to say a massive thanks to all of my viewers and subscribers who send in clips. It also makes me really proud seeing things that I've explained on the channel put into daily use. I truly believe that I've got one of the best YouTube communities out there. This final clip demonstrates one of my classics. You should always try and drive in a staggered formation. When the lights change, my viewer adjusts their acceleration and risk is reduced. Keep safe everyone. I'll see you soon.